guys, welcome to another week of the Monday Huddle where we teach you tips, tricks, ideas to beat your Monday. I'm G.
I'm Derek.
And here we go.
So this week we are talking about mental health.
Yeah.
And I think we've kind of been talking about it the whole time, but specifically we want to narrow in and focus in on the importance of mental health. I think we kind of dance around to talking about people feeling defeated or bound or no freedom or not having the tools or the willpower, people that give up on their dreams. We've been talking about all these things, but ultimately we believe it comes down to being mentally resilient, having the skills, the tools, the ability to tap into a space, because the mental health space is what gets us from one space to the next.
That's right. I mean, if you're bound up here, we talked about that a few weeks ago. If you're bound up here, then you're super limited in what you believe that you can do. And we live in a time now where mental health is just kind of like, it's grown so much.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, I didn't hear all of the things of like triggers and, ADD, ADHD. Yeah. I didn't hear about all of that stuff, right? And so now we're at a time where it seems like it's such a broad topic. Since we're going to talk about it, let's get in control of it.
Let's do it. Yeah. And so one of the things that we have to do before we do anything, before we actually go out and physically do anything to dominate our day, a lot of our tips and our tricks and our tools and all these things has to do with the mind first. Mm-hmm. How do we set our intentions? How do we set goals? How do we identify? How do we move? How do we motivate? How do we inspire? How do we do all the internal work before we then do some external work, which gets us actually moving in the right direction? And I think having that conversation internally is probably one of the first steps that we can do in addressing our mental health as it pertains to dominating a Monday.
That's right. Listen, self-determination theory is so important, right? Yeah. It's that internal thought process, is the thing that motivates you. Like, what gets you going? Yeah. What is the thing that keeps you pushing through? I think back when I was in the military, right? There were some things that I was just kind of like, listen, I got to get back home. I got to get back to my family. And that was my motivation to ensure that I was like aware. I'm looking around. I'm doing all that I can do to ensure that I make it back to my family. What are the things that you're determining on a Monday and saying, you know what, I got to win Monday, because if I win, my family wins? Yeah.
G and I are currently creating this content to encourage and inspire and equip dads to engage with their children. And we identified 5 components, 5 attributes that impact the way that children develop. And I think that fits perfectly for this episode. One of the things was family. The other thing was health and wellness and nutrition. Another one was extended motivators. Another one was environment. But they're talking about as identities, as characteristics, as personalities are being developed, how can they first be impacted mentally? Right? When we're talking about a kid being developed, and we're not talking about kids. I'm sure there's some kids that are watching this right now, but these are grown folks that have gone through a developmental process that had to do with their family, that has to do with their environment, their genetics, their health and wellness, their diet and their nutrition, and all these things impact the way that we think. So first we're talking about, before we even establish goals, before we first talk about dominating the Monday, before we do that, we have to first go inward and talk about those mental attributes. What are some of those emotional and spiritual and those things that develop on the inside before they even come out the mouth?
Yeah, and I think that's so important. I think that so often we just kind of live like by the seat of our pants, right? Whatever happens, we'll walk through whatever door presents itself. We'll do whatever is in front of us. But that's too wishy-washy. That's we leave ourselves to live a life that's really finicky. Like, I'll jump on whatever looks like it's going to produce. I'll if that looks like it's progressing or it looks like it's going to do something, then I'll run over here. Yeah. And so Richard Simmons.
The exercise guy?
No. What's the guy? Run DMC dude. Russell Simmons.
Russell Simmons. Richard Simmons is a different guy.
Russell Simmons. He said Americans are not successful because they start digging and they hit a rock, and then they go and they dig a new hole.
Ooh.
Right? Instead of saying, no, this is the hole I've been digging it for a year, for 5 years. That rock, I'm going to break through it. And so when you know what you're committed to, you know your goals, you know what you're trying to accomplish, you allow your mind to be set on it, and there's going to be some hard times. Have you had hard times in your life?
I've had hard times. And I think about the people around me and me watching as a kid, young adult, active adult, seeing how other people dealt with hard times. And this is where we talk about resiliency, confidence, things like that, right? Because if I grow up in a world where I dig holes, and if I hit something that's hard, then I find a different hole to dig that may be easier, then I don't develop any resilience, right? And so if we try to narrow down the mental health space and the scope to this one lane, if we wanted to dig deep, pun intended, into this one single thing, and we talk about pushing through hard things, I think if we had to back out, we would first say, well, what are the holes that I'm digging, right? If I'm trying to dig deep in an area of interest, that means, let's say if I'm a kid and I want to play a sport, right? And I'm being told every single day that becoming a professional athlete is hard. Or if I'm trying to navigate getting to practice, or if I don't have the money to participate, when I come to these hard things, resiliency says, okay, I come up against it, I'll try a different way. I come up against it, I'll try a different way. Come up against it, I don't quit. I come up against it. That doesn't mean never. It just means no right now. Right. Resiliency has something to do with your mental health and your mental resiliency to say that even though I'm coming up against an obstacle, it doesn't mean that I can't do it right now, or it doesn't mean I can't do it forever. It means that I can't do it right now. Yeah. So how do we develop that resiliency if we've never seen anybody be resilient, or if we've never had the tools or the conversation around being resilient?
That's right. And resilience cannot have the word attached compromise to it.
Ooh, okay.
But sometimes we want to be resilient, but we wind up compromising our own ethics, our own morals, right? We're just like, well, I got to accomplish, I got to feed my family, and so I'm going to compromise whatever I'm doing and use my gift in a negative way. We have to say, you know what, this is the direction that I'm going. I will not compromise myself, and I'm going to continue to drive this thing home because I know that eventually what I'm intending to desire is going to happen. Listen, one thing you cannot stop in life is time. And this too shall pass. And so I know that you may be battling through some trials and some things right now, but it's not always going to be this way. If you're resilient and you don't compromise, you'll be rewarded.
Absolutely. And so when we think about the mental health space, we don't want to sit up here and act like we don't deal with our own mental health struggles, or that we're mental health professionals that know all the answers. What I can only tell you is what I've seen and what I've lived, what I've experienced. And what I know is that on the other side of that rock is treasure. On the other side of that obstacle is opportunity. And when we're dealing with our mental health space as it pertains to dominating a Monday and setting ourselves up for a week, that Monday is the opportunity. Monday can be the obstacle. Oftentimes people come off the momentum. We talked about it last episode. How can we use Friday and Thursday to create that momentum through the weekend and get back into the rotation, back into the opportunity of being fluent and successful in the next week? Monday is the obstacle. Monday is the opportunity. Right. And if we can get our mind around that, and if we can set our mental health in a space to where we see these these obstacles as opportunities, then we'll continue to overcome Monday.
Well, depression and anxiety, they give birth to a lot of these other things, right? And so what's depression? Depression is worry or the thoughts that keep coming up of your past, right? And then so we're like, oh, I can't believe I did this. I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I allowed these people in my life. And so that's depression. Anxiety is worry about the future. I don't know what's going to happen. Am I going to be able to do it? Am I going to be able to provide? And so Sunday oftentimes can bring on the anxiety of what's going to happen Monday. And then oftentimes Monday will bring on the depression of the things that you didn't accomplish last week. And so we got to get to a place of saying, listen, tomorrow has its own problems. I can't do anything about yesterday other than learn from it and be able to be in the present. I had to ask my wife for forgiveness. And I'm such a forward thinker that I was never in the present. I was always thinking about what I need to do next, what I was going to accomplish next. All of these things. I'm so task driven that I was never in the present. I was always far, far ahead. So I had to ask my wife for forgiveness. I said, babe, sugar mama, that's what she's listed as on my phone. And I said, I'm sorry that that sometimes I don't even know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even been paying attention because I'm so far ahead that I have not been here.
Yeah.
And I had to force myself to be present. And so on your Monday, be present on Monday. Don't allow the things that are going on between your ears, your mind, to dictate how you feel all the time. Take control and say, listen, I may not be happy about the things that have happened.
Yeah.
And I am a little worried as to what's ahead, but I have to do my best today. And if I do my best right now, then everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah, because if you don't address what's happening right now, you'll get to Tuesday and you'll still be dealing with Monday's problems. If you don't address the mental health things now, you'll continue to move forward and take those issues with you. And we want you to move forward in power, whole, healthy, as complete as you can be. But that has to do with some self-awareness, some self-evaluation, some consideration, a pause that happens in the moment, right? When you hit that obstacle, and I'm not even talking about like, if you're talking about being an entrepreneur, and I'm not talking about filing with the state as being an obstacle, or getting people to buy your product as an obstacle. I'm talking about the things that are happening internally.
Right.
Am I worthy? Am I capable? Can I do it? I'm overcoming generational things. I'm overcoming societal things. I'm overcoming systematic things. All those things that I deal with internally before I even deal with external stuff. If we don't handle that first, then we'll take those things with us into the future, which is where that anxiety comes from, and that depression looking backwards thinking, I could have, I didn't, I should have. I'm talking about in the moment. I'm going to pause. In the moment, looking into all three cameras, in the moment, you have to figure out, what is my obstacle, my internal obstacle? Do I lack discipline? Am I dishonest? Have I set out my goals? Remember last time we talked about capturing your dream and your visions, writing it down, making it plain, pursuing it and not getting tired or frustrated. What are my obstacles? My internal, my mental, my emotional, spiritual. What are those internal obstacles that are preventing me from being great and being the best version of myself? Before we move forward and we hit that rock, we got to take a step back and we got to say, what is this? Is this an obstacle? Is it an opportunity? Is it something I can overcome? Do I need help? Dare I say, do I need medicine? Do I need prayer? Do I need meditation? Do I need encouragement? Do I need affirmation? What do I need in order to become resilient enough to move past this obstacle?
Yeah. So I had someone communicate with me in regard to them battling through anxiety. And they're just kind of like, listen, I need your help. What can I do to get through anxiety?
Yeah.
And so knowing what anxiety is, I just say, hey, listen, what are your dreams and what are your goals, right?
Okay.
Because if you don't have those, then you're constantly worrying about tomorrow because you don't know what you're doing tomorrow. Right. Another thing that's so simple is this. What is your outlet?
Yeah.
And
that's good.
Folks don't feel like if they treat themselves that's selfish. No, listen, go get your nails done if you're go get your eyelashes done.
Yeah, something like
dudes, go listen, gents, go to the gym, go work out, go do something. And I think that if we become balanced, if we become, we get on a solid foundation. If we get to a place where we know where we are, and it may take time. Listen, some of us have been on a journey of instability for a long time. Just because you try for a week does not mean that all of a sudden everything's going to turn around. It may take 2 weeks. It may take a month. It may take a year. But now you're beginning to put new seed in the ground, and little by little that allows you to have more stability and believing in yourself and getting into spaces, larger spaces where you're able to spread your wings, where you can start. Listen, go buy an outfit for the space that you desire to be in.
I love that. Dress up.
I got a tuxedo at the house right now.
Right now, waiting for a tuxedo moment.
I took it to the seamstress, and I got the legs taken up. We in the skinny jeans,
short skinny,
So I got them to tighten it up just a little bit. I can't wait to wear it.
Yeah. And the reason I think this is good, the reason we're spending so much time in this internal space, right, is because that's going to be the biggest battle that I think we face, right? It's not the external critics, it's us criticizing ourselves. It's not the external threat that I think is bothering us the most. It's the internal threat, right? It's like this fear of something that could potentially happen that has not happened yet, and we catastrophize the things in our lives that have already happened. Like our biggest enemy, our biggest obstacle is going to be internally. So why not invest in that? right? If dressing up is going to allow you to be confident in the space that you've not been before, then go buy the outfit. Go get the outfit, right? If speaking a certain way, even though that language may not fit where you are and it's more appropriate for where you're going, then practice using that language, right? I am this. I will be this. I am this. It helps us prepare for space that we are not yet in. And so the reason that we're spending so much time, that we're using all of these words, that hopefully you feel all of our energy through this screen, in the virtual, in the electronic set, the space, is because we honestly believe if you do the preparation internally, by the time it's time to externally and physically do some stuff, you've already done the work in here.
And you're not going to be 100%.
Absolutely.
I'm not 100%.
Failure is a part of the process.
Yeah, but you grow from that, right? And there are times where if you are down here, and you fail, and you on the ground, you're like, I knew I couldn't get this thing off the ground. I knew. That's different verbiage. Yeah. But when you've grown some, and then you fall just a little bit, you ain't at the bottom.
Oh, not
and
at
here's
all.
the deal. You've experienced some level of growth, so you know how to grow again.
Ooh.
That's the importance of being healthy in the mind, that as you have a good day, guess what? You know that having a good day, there's a capability of it.
It's doable.
Probability is doable.
Good days are doable. Yes.
And you will look at obtaining it again. If you have a great day with your wife, with your husband, you know that you can be happy.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
If you land an amazing contract, you've done it once, guess what?
You can do it again.
You can do it again.
Absolutely.
When I get on a plane, I've flown first class. And when I book my ticket and I get into a coach seat and I'm going past that first class area, I'm thinking like, I've sat up there before.
I know what that's like.
I've been there before, so I can't wait to make sure that I work my way back up there.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen because I buy the ticket, but because I've gotten on a lot of planes. When you've done it before, then you know you can do it again. And so growth is important.
And the reason growth is important, especially in the space of mental health, is because you never really know what whole and healthy feels like unless you pursue it and you've been there before. A lot of us get stuck in this unhealthy place because we're familiar with it. And sometimes moving forward and out of that space is fearful, and we get anxious about it because we've never been there before and we don't know how to pursue it and how to acquire it. You ever know somebody that is just always in drama? There's always like some unhealthy, something that's always following them. And then sometimes people self-sabotage because they know what drama feels like, but they don't know what non-drama feels like. So they would much rather be in chaotic space, in the known, versus pursuing something that they don't know that is actually better for them. So when we're talking about growth, we want you to experience growth. Part of growth is the unknown, right? Maybe there's some fear and some anxiety there, but we want you to go into the stretch zone, the space of the unknown, because we believe there's better there for you. There's more for you there. There's more money, there's more peace, there's more opportunity, there's more mental health spaces and opportunities. There's so much more for you outside of where you currently are, that we are encouraging you to get out in that space and see what's out there. Because if you never go, if you never grow, then you'll never know.
That's right. Well, listen, and also your body will respond to how your mind thinks.
That's good.
And so if you have these things that you're battling through, then your body automatically starts taking on all of these sicknesses, right? And your body begins to feel negative, and you don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to do anything. And people are constantly battling colds, and they're constantly battling this and that. Why? Because these cancers in the body begin to feed off of the mind.
Yeah.
And so you want to get healthier, begin to think healthier. You want to produce something in your life, listen, begin to think healthier. If you want a healthier marriage, begin to think healthier. If you want to be a better you, begin to think healthier, because when you are able to believe it, then you're able to achieve it.
Yeah. So as we wrap this up, I want to send you out with just a few things. Number one, we are now mental health professionals, and we are speaking to you out of what we know, out of what we've experienced. But I can confidently say, as someone that has gone through my own mental health journey, that deals with kids and families and couples and adults that are experiencing mental health struggles themselves, number one, you have to commit to being on your mental health journey. Number one, you have to prioritize your mental health. Number one, you got to be able to sit and identify and say, I'm struggling. I need some help in some areas. Number two, I want you to figure out what those areas are. And number three, I want you to create a plan to address those things. Remember, these obstacles are opportunities to grow into different spaces that we've never been, and there's things for you on the other side of that opportunity.
That's right. So listen, begin to fight for yourself, because no one else is going to fight for you if you're not willing to put in the work for yourself. This is this week's Monday Huddle. Listen, go out, be the best you that you could be. I'm G.
I'm Derek.
Let's go.
Let's get it.